Buonasera, buon pomeriggio da Ginevra.
Buonasera a voi, facciamoci anche sentire qui da Venezia.
Okay, welcome to the Beyond Einstein Webcast. Thank you for the applause, Carlo.
How is your day of broadcasting going on? Come sta andando la vostra giornata di trasmissioni con tutto il mondo?
Sta andando benissimo. We have 82 countries that were seeing us live. Pakistan on satellite TV, 4,000 viewers until half an hour ago. In the meantime, I've been on the floor, so I don't know if these statistics have been increasing. Yeah, somebody is shaking from the direction. They say we're getting more and more people. So 82 countries from all over the world. So Carlo, I'm ready to give you the floor if you are ready to take it.
Okay, thank you very much, Paola. I know that we have 45 minutes.
No, you have 30.
During this time, we will have the occasion of showing some of the prizes of the Pirelli Relativity Challenge. We have the chance of speaking with the winners of these prizes and maybe making a few comments if we still have time. Let me say, first of all, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning. I don't know, with all the people that are watching us and that are listening to us from all around the world. I know that the time slots are completely different, so wherever you are, thank you for tuning in. We are here in Venezia, Italy, in the site of the Pirelli headquarters of Progetto Italia here in Venice. We are holding a special ceremony. Every year, Pirelli, the international, very well-known international tire company, holds a scientific prize, a prize of scientific communication of science, which is called the Pirelli International Award. This award that we are giving this afternoon in Venice right now, it's 3:30, will regard the theory of relativity of Albert Einstein. We all know that this is the year of physics, and this is our way of celebrating this year. Exactly 100 years ago, Albert Einstein published his theory, and the idea of Pirelli in making this award was that you could communicate such a complex theory that in some way changed physics and changed science forever 100 years ago in a very short period of time, 5 minutes. So the idea was to communicate in 5 minutes what Albert Einstein succeeded in discovering 100 years ago. What is the concept behind all this? Sento ancora che io non ho più ritorno di microfono. Si sente, okay. The idea was to communicate not really to the scientific world. Most of the people in the scientific world know very well the theory of Einstein. Most of them, I suppose, have studied it in depth at school. The idea was to communicate with the common man, the man on the street, the man that might not know the theories of Einstein. For sure, he knows his name, maybe he knows his face, maybe he knows his big tongue sticking out of his mouth, which was an icon of the 20th century, but probably has a vague idea of what the theory of relativity is. So this prize was, the idea of this prize was welcomed by 250 people. By people, I mean institutions, I mean network companies, I mean universities, laboratories, but also roughly about 100 independents. That means people that did it in their own studio, or maybe did it on their own computer. The idea was 5 minutes in a multimedial way, so you will see most of these were films done very cleverly, done with a lot of fantasy in the artwork or maybe in the graphic design. Of course, the choice was hard. The choice was hard. There was a jury that spent a lot of time in figuring out which might have been the best. One among 250. It's a very hard choice. In the second moment, Telecom Italia forwarded 5 special prizes, so you will see 6 films. As a matter of fact, you will see a clip of the first 5 special prizes, and then you will see for good, for the whole entirety of the film, the winner. And I think that we can show them right now, so that worldwide and also in this hall, we can see it. Are you ready to show the films? It's roughly around 7-8 minutes. First the 5 special prizes, and then the winner. And then after that, the prizes.
Pirelli Relativity Challenge. It's the way of the Pirelli International Award to celebrate International Year of Physics. Over 250 words arrive from all over the world. It has been an enormous effort of relativity and technology that proves, once again, that Albert Einstein is a legacy for the entire humanity. And our contestants prove this to us in different ways. We found someone that used his long-term experience as a scientific communicator, completed by a wise use of multimedia technology. This is the case of a contestant from the United States. We found someone that appealed mostly to interactivity, forcing the user to interact constantly with the work. In this case, we moved a little and went to Canada to pick our contestant.
Adesso li lasciamo andare tranquilli. Aiutami a capire cosa stiamo vedendo. Due finalisti. Per quale finalista? Ah, tutti finalisti.
We found someone that, in order to explain what relativity is, said for 7 times what relativity was not, discrediting some legends and common myths concerning it. We are now in the heart of Europe, in the Czech Republic.
Yes, connection is successful. What do you do? What have you done? Well, it's working.
His sense of humor and the attitude. With the power of a smile, he managed to fix in the user's mind concepts and images. And if we speak of humor, we can only do in brief. We found someone that, despite his 17 years of age, manages to have fun with physics and multimedia, living inside TV, show business, and gambling. Would you believe it? We are in Las Vegas. We found someone that explains the special companies in the world. We came back to USA on the West Coast. We found someone that joined an enormous work of communication, celebration, and promotion of physics on the internet with her personal entry to Pirelli Relativity Challenge. We are still in the West Coast of the United States, even if further out to the north. We found someone that used the huge communicating power of cartoons. An important French scientific organization used it remarkably. But also a simple French researcher turning to multimedia and animation to explain sciences can obtain excellent results. We found someone that, in order to explain the relativity theory, made use of Greek philosophy and Western figurative art to illustrate it. We came back to Italy, specifically in Rome, Caput Mundi, the world's capital.
Eccoci qui, allora avete Questo è un medley. This was a medley of a few of the entries, the most significant entries. Now we can see the winner of the Relativity
Little
challenge.
Al is supposed to be traveling to Italy to visit his mother, but it doesn't look like he's going anywhere. Maybe he doesn't realize his train has left the station already. Click the curtains to shed some light. Well, look at that. Al is traveling to Italy. Only now that he sees the landscape sailing past the window does he know he is moving relative to the ground. Try changing your perspective to see how Al is moving.
Lo possiamo forse rivedere dall'inizio. We can see it
Little
from the
Al.
beginning.
Al,
Here it is.
say hello. Hello. Little Al is supposed to be traveling to Italy to visit his mother, but it doesn't look like he's going anywhere. Maybe he doesn't realize his train has left the station already. Click the curtains to shed some light. Well, look at that. Al is traveling to Italy. Only now that he sees the landscape sailing past the window does he know he is moving relative to the ground. Try changing your perspective to see how Al is moving. From the ground's perspective, Al is moving and the ground is not. From Al's perspective, the ground is moving and he is not. From the sun's perspective, Al, the train, and the ground are all moving in orbit. Al likes that he can't tell he's moving unless it's relative to something else. He wonders if there are other things he can't feel happening.
I bounce my ball once per second. It helps me think.
Would he notice if time slowed down?
Still one bounce per second.
No matter what is going on around him, Al always feels like everything is normal. From his perspective, he is standing perfectly still while the universe moves around him.
Mama!
Al arrives in Italy and is met at the station by his mother. He promptly starts bouncing his ball again.
My little Al, always studying physics.
Al enjoys studying the physics of his ball bouncing up and down, but wonders what other physics there is. Al finds a law of physics that says light waves move through space at a speed called c, almost 300,000 kilometers per second. Al has an idea. For him to always feel like everything's normal, he must always see light travel through space at 300,000 kilometers per second, just like his ball always bounces straight up and down. Light's so reliable that Al imagines a perfect clock that uses a bouncing photon to count seconds. The clock's photon takes exactly 1 second to bounce between mirrors placed 150,000 kilometers apart. Each time the photon hits the top mirror, the clock ticks. Once Al starts to imagine, he doesn't stop. He imagines that deep in space there is a gift shop anchored to the earth by a taut rope. It is so far away that it would take 10 years for light to get there. So Al calls the distance 10 light years. Al's imagination also builds him a super fast spaceship so he can travel to the gift shop to buy a present for his mother. To keep track of time during his trip, Al brings along his perfect clock. Al takes off at 80% the speed of light. His perfect clock keeps track of the time, and Al bounces his ball in sync with it. Al's mom watches him using super powerful binoculars. She notices that the photon in Al's clock travels more than 300,000 kilometers between ticks because the ship is moving as the photon bounces back and forth. Since light can't speed up, it must be taking extra time to cover the greater distance. Intrigued, Al's mom compares her clock to Al's and sees that indeed Al's clock is ticking slowly. Al wonders what would happen if his ship accelerated to the speed of light. He imagines it happening and realizes that from his mom's perspective, the photon would be doing all it can just to keep up with his ship. So Al's clock would never tick, and his time would stop. Al takes this as a clue that you could never actually reach the speed of light. Al settles for 99.5% the speed of light and sets off following the rope that anchors the gift shop to the earth. Al sees that a 3 million kilometer section of the rope is blue and patrolled by a space bobby whose job is to ticket anyone breaking the universal speed limit, the speed of light. The cop is just as bored as Al. He's never given out a speeding ticket yet. From Al's perspective, he is standing still and feeling kind of hungry while the space cop is flying by at 99.5% the speed of light and eating a donut.
Al zooms in and notices that he looks unusually thin for a donut-eating space cop. Well, what does the space cop see? The cop zooms in on Al's clock and sees it going 10 times slower than his own. The cop counts 10 seconds while Al passes the blue rope, calculating a distance of 3 million kilometers. But because Al's clock is ticking slow, Al only times 1 second. So that's why the distance appears 10 times shorter. From Al's perspective, not only is the cop squished, but the Earth, the rope, and the gift shop are all squished because they're all anchored together and moving at 99.5% the speed of light relative to him. This means that to Al, the distance from the Earth to the gift shop is 10 times shorter. What a pleasant surprise. It's only going to take him 1 year to get there instead of 10. About a year later, Al reaches the gift shop and buys his mom a miniature model of his very own ship. He sets off for Earth again, traveling 99.5% the speed of light. A little more than 2 years after Al set out on his venture, Al reaches Earth again. His mom has missed him terribly. From her perspective, the gift shop stayed 10 light years away from Earth, so Al's journey took over 20 years. While Al is only 2 years older, his mom has aged 20 years. Al decides that his theory of relativity is very real. When you move relative to someone else, your space and time change relative to them. But as sure as Al's ball will always bounce straight up and down, the speed of light will always be the same.
You saw some of the images of the people who were given the awards, which we will see in a very short time. As you noticed, a very simple cartoon can explain something terribly complicated like the theory of relativity. We'll see in a moment who is the winner, but before we have to give a few prizes, the 5 prizes that I was mentioning before. Can I ask our mathematician and jury panelist Pier Giorgio Di Fredi to come here with us and to help me give the awards. Okay, allora, we have 5 special prizes. The first goes to the most comprehensive effort for the celebration of the International Year of Physics on the Net. Mr. Clay Frost, is he here? Hello, Mr. Frost. Do I have a microphone? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Allora, how much, first of all, does our society owe to Albert Einstein, to his theories, to his creativity in the world of science?
Well, a lot.
Hold it close.
A lot.
Good answer. Very synthetic. That's great. Thank you very much, Mr. Frost, and goodbye.
Thank you.
And no, I'm joking. I mean, did it really change not only the world of science, but also the world at large? Can we say that? Or is it too much?
Say that? Yes, indeed. It certainly changed everyone's ideas.
What priority is given to communication with sign within your portal at MSNBC?
A lot. We're trying to explain things very simply for everyone. I certainly had a difficult time explaining Albert Einstein, though I must say.
You did.
Yes, I'd love to hear Albert Einstein's 5-minute explanation
of his own theory.
Yes.
Well, maybe, we have to take the spaceship and go back in time, and maybe we could have a chance. Do you think he managed to do it in 5 minutes?
I really don't know. I had a hard time doing it in 5 minutes.
You had a hard time. Okay. Thank you very much, then. The prize by
Thank you.
Pirelli Relativity Challenge for, as I was saying, most comprehensive effort for the celebration. What do you mean? How for most comprehensive, what did you actually mean? Did you...
Well, I thought I was going to do the end-all, be-all, best explanation of relativity there ever could be, and I found that under the deadline, I had to explain the experiments that prove relativity and not relativity itself.
Where can we see these works on the net?
On MSNBC. There's
.com?
On MSNBC.com. We have a special package for the Year of Physics.
So the people that are listening to us and watching us on the net and on this broadcast can actually dial in, tune in, and check it out.
msnbc.com, right on the front page.
Thank you very much, Mr. Frost.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
very honored. Thank you.
Second special prize goes to the most humorous, although scientifically unexceptionable multimedia work, Mr. Sam Ray. Is he here? Way, way back. Sam Ray and Al Brown. Hello. There's three of you. It's not enough. Sam Ray?
Yeah. Sam Ray.
Sam Ray?
Emily James.
Emily James.
And Al Brown.
Al Brown. Hello. All three from the States?
No, actually we're
Where?
from London.
Okay. Show yourself to the cameras, first of all. All right. Here they are. Where from?
We made a set of films for Channel 4 in the UK, and then we turned them into a website, and that was our submission. So I work for the production company that made the films.
Okay.
So we have to thank Channel 4.
All right.
And Sam works for the Institute of Physics, Fulcrum TV, who I work for, collaborated with the Institute of Physics. Al is the editor and animator.
Okay, so it was a teamwork, basically. Yeah. All right, so how do a professional animator and a physicist work together?
I think we'll have Sam answer that question.
Sam, tell us.
Okay, well...
Different worlds, very different worlds.
Yes, very different worlds, but from my point of view, it was... I didn't have the more difficult task. I think Al had the more difficult task because he had to understand...
what you were talking
my
about.
explanation
Yeah, that's right.
Special relativity, which wasn't
okay.
always...
Was his explanation good or not?
I think he did pretty well, actually.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, Sam broke it down quite well for us. It was, it's a tough subject to get your head around. I mean, that's the whole reason why you're doing this thing.
Yeah.
Get it out there.
That's why you were awarded the prize.
Exactly.
Otherwise,
we had to start kind of trying to work it out at the beginning. And, I think Sam, having a physicist, having someone who kind of was rooted in the subject made it a lot easier on my behalf. I would have been just flapping around in the area of science for a year without really ever getting there, I don't think.
Since you work in the world of television, public television, Channel 4 is public television, am I right? Yes. What do you think is the role of television, both public television and maybe even commercial television, in Great Britain, in the States, all over the world? What do you think is the role of television in the field of communication of science?
Well, the UK has a strong history of both publicly supported television, but also an understanding that television is there as a social tool and a tool for building knowledge and culture. So I think we try very hard to make sure that we're not just entertaining, but we're also educating at the same time. It's nice to have support for that outside of the UK. We don't see that all of the time. Yeah. So it's nice to be
We
here.
don't have that in Italy at all, except for this prize,
I know.
We don't have a very scientific television, I have to say.
Exactly.
But maybe our television is just the same as all the other ones.
Even in the UK, the same thing is happening. It's very hard to...
A lot of reality shows, is that right?
Exactly. And
no reality shows on Einstein, though, are there?
Not a lot, no. And they tend to take everything of actual scientific importance out of the shows before they put them on air. So we were very lucky to sneak this one through.
At the same time, Einstein was such a figure that probably some special dedicated to him as a figure and then as a scientist as well probably would work on television.
Well, this was how we managed to do. This was how we managed to get this one on air. You know, we sort of do a lot of stuff on education and science on television, but because of the anniversary this year, we were able to convince Channel 4 to pay for it. In any other circumstances, I don't think we would.
All right. Thank you very much for your work. This is the prize. You're very welcome to hold it high when you go back to Great Britain. Thank you very much. We're talking about television again because the next special prize for the most TV-oriented work goes to Mr. Ivan Jimenez and Miss Ine Bonet. Are they here? Okay. Hello. Hi. Buenos días. ¿Cuál idioma vamos a hablar? ¿Español, inglés? English? English a little. Okay. Sei interprete spagnola? Ok, vediamo. Allora, I'll say it in English. If you don't get it, we go into Spanish mode. Allora, you're involved in TV, I suppose, right? Is that correct? Part. Un poco. Un poquito. Okay, bueno. What is the role? I speak in English so that all around the world they can follow us. What is the role of scientific visualization in the contemporary audiovisual language? ¿Quieres traducir?
Well, yes, I understand.
Okay, bueno.
I think that television is mass media able to reach a lot of people, and everybody knows the language of the TV, but the language of scientific language is very complex, and so I think that television is a good instrument to popularize science.
Perfecto. Was it your work, which we saw a little clip of, is full of images, symbols, visual metaphors, a very, very, very complex work, and seemingly a little bit chaotic, but in the end very, I would say very efficient if they voted it, but chaotic. Was there an art? How did you work on it? Was it an art director? Was it a teamwork? Was it just you two working on it?
The cause of this chaos probably lies in the lack of an art director.
In a lack of an art. You didn't have a lack.
No, we haven't. We
okay. Your art and she's director. Okay.
And relativity is such a complex subject, and in order to explain it, we needed to include metaphors and symbols and this material as chaotic.
Was it in Spanish language? Are you from Spain, actually? Yes. Both from Spain? Was it in English, I suppose? The work that you submitted.
First in Spanish
and then
translation.
There were two versions.
Two versions. See, this is interesting. You actually do work on television? What do you do on television? ¿Trabajan en la español, en la televisión español? O? No.
In an investigation center. Instituto de Astrofísica de Canarias.
Okay, so you live in Canarias. That's fine. And what was your main idea in making this short film? What was your concept? ¿Cuál fue la idea en el construir el film?
La idea era hacer algo interesante. Sobre todo interesante en el sentido de que la gente corriente pudiera no entender del todo, pero sí
the layperson could understand.
Pues estimular.
Ok, muchas gracias. Este es el premio. I see people. I want to ask something to Pier Giorgio Di Freddi, who is a very well-known Italian mathematician and divulgatore, somebody that brings common scientific knowledge to the public. Io dovrei avere un altro micro. So I just wanted to ask you, because we didn't talk about it on the international broadcast, was it hard to choose among these people? Were the films interesting? Were they innovative? What was your feeling in looking at 250 works?
Thank God we didn't have to do it, actually. We
okay.
just got, at the
35.
end, 9. Only 9.
Oh, just 9, okay.
And of course, I hope that they were the best. It wasn't too hard because they were all very good. So we chose randomly in the end.
Okay, do you think that it's hard to convey, we asked them when they came along, do you think it's hard to convey complex theory like relativity in such a short time? Do you think that the common people looking at these films might understand?
This is a provocation. Of course, I think it's impossible, right? And even in 5 months, right? But at least to have an idea, what relativity is, and to see, the click words, so to speak, certainly is effective.
Okay, thank you very much to Mr. Odifreddi. Let me call down Mr. Perisic, who is the director of Telecom Italia Media, and let's go to the next prize. The next prize goes to the youngest finalist, Miss Amu Irivinti. Is she here? Here she is. Hello. From India?
No, I'm actually from the U.S.
From the U.S.
From the U.S., just outside of Boston.
It's a very multi-ethnic world. She could probably be from whatever Italian city. This was a multi-ethnic effort, though. How did it work? How did you put it together?
Actually, it definitely was multi-ethnic. During the project when we were constructing it, none of the team members ever actually met face to face.
Oh. How many were you?
There were 4 of us.
4.
So we were all in different countries and time zones, and I think the most challenging part of it was communicating, because direct communication was hard since one person would have to be up at like 4 in the morning. So
because it was all over the world?
Yeah.
Oh. From States and then?
From the U.S. and then also Australia and India as well.
So the 4 corners of the world, huh?
Something like
that,
yeah.
Just the North Pole could have been another good choice.
Possibly.
You're a student?
I am a senior in high school this year.
And what is your feeling? Because I don't know, but the common say is that youth doesn't really care that much about this kind of very high education. They usually care about dancing and dressing up and staying up late at night. Are you from another species? Are you an endangered species, maybe?
I don't think it's that a lot of youth don't care about higher education and things like this. I think it's more that a lot of them don't have the outlets or opportunities to express themselves in ways that they find interesting or productive at all. So, which is why opportunities like this that Pirelli provides they're wonderful, and I just like to say thanks for that.
How old are you?
I am 16.
16. Okay, that's not. How are you going to celebrate? Are you going to party?
Am I going to party?
Yes. Are you going to go out dancing? Casino in Venice? How are you going to celebrate your award, your prize?
I don't know.
Just studying. Just staying home and studying.
That's such a bad stereotype.
I gave you a choice, though. It's the first time in Venice.
Definitely, yeah.
Enjoy the city, and thank you very much for coming all the way here. Where's the prize? MC2. Here it is. Thank you very much. And last special prize, the most elementary explanation made by the most elementary tools and the most elementary language. But it's not an elementary prize. Enrico Pizza from Italy, where is he? Here he is. Ciao Enrico. Hello Enrico. I have to talk to you in English though. Yes, I have to. We're on the air with all the world. Where are you from in Italy?
I'm from Torino.
Oh, Torino.
So
okay.
We wait for the Olympic game.
Yeah. In 70 days or so, there are the Winter Olympics in Torino. I know that there's a funny story about your participation in this contest. Is it?
Yes, more or less. I'm a little bit surprised to be here. I mean, I work more or less alone in my room.
So you're one of the independents that participated?
Yes, there is my wife that says yes
so
or no.
That's a good chance not to be independent, I know, but that's another story.
No, I'm surprised because I used an elementary software that I learned in a couple of days. I used the night to work on this project, and I never bet €1 on my job, but you did, and I want to thank you for this opportunity.
So how long did it take you, though?
Oh, more or less 20 nights and 2 weekends.
Oh, so 20 nights and 2 weekends. Okay. Thank you very much, Enrico. Complimenti.
Grazie mille.
Sounds like a stereotype, too, that we give a prize to somebody called Pizza from Italy. But anyway, thank you very much, Enrico. The winner, we come to the magic moment where usually somebody says, you want to say who the winner is? Okay. Okay, I say. The winner is Kiran Sachdev. Okay, so either one is Kiran and the other one is Sach and then Dev, or there are three different names that we have to mention? Okay.
Jackie English.
And Luca Bogdan.
All right, and you are from what countries?
Canada.
Canada? Oh, all from Canada. Oh, thank you for coming all the way. A long way. I grew up in Canada. Allora, I know that you are a physicist by background and a technologist in the field of communication by foreground. Now, this is what they told me. Now, can you explain it?
I could, but I'm going to let Jackie explain this one.
Oh, okay. That's why she was holding the microphone. So Jackie's the communicator here, I understand.
Yeah, well, given that the point of this particular challenge was to communicate to the average person, and art has always been sort of the key way that new ideas have finally disseminated into the general population, I think it's natural that actually a composer, a writer, and a painter got together and made an animation on physics. With physics.
You mean a music composer?
Music composer and musician. And I write and act in the field of educational television.
Okay.
And he does educational media also. And
but I should say that I have a degree in physics. So that
yeah,
so you. He has a degree in physics, and I have a degree in mechanical engineering from McGill.
So there was a background
and art in the foreground. I thought made a pretty good combination.
Mm-hmm. And you knew each other, I suppose, from the start, right? You worked on it together from the beginning?
Jackie and I have known each other since we went to McGill in Montreal. And we just met Luca for this prize. We looked for an animator and found the perfect one.
It turns out Luca and I worked together for TV Ontario.
Allora, we saw your cartoon. That was the only one that we saw in its entirety. So it was very nice. I think it was very clever. I mean, and even I had a feeling of, understanding what it was all about. But it is a truly complex theory. So how did you sort of figure out to do it this way, to make the spaceship, to have the idea that the kid travels to another part of the universe and then comes back? How did it come to you?
Well, first I should say that we didn't actually see our work in the entirety because it was very interactive. We removed most of the interactivity for what you saw there.
So it's more complex.
There's more. There's a notebook where you can check to make sure that you're understanding. You can review parts of it. So, I mean, I can understand the challenge of saying in about 5 minutes, but I think it takes different people different amounts of time. So we gave the opportunity for people to take their own time. And we actually tested it with friends of ours, our lay people. And
in Montreal?
I would say in Toronto. And I would say on average they spent 20 minutes on it. But if you have a short attention span, sure, you could spend 5 minutes and sort of get it.
Let me ask you if there is some place where we can all see it in its entirety. Is it on the net? Can we...
It's not currently on the net.
You should put it on the net. I mean, I'm sure that's going to be on the Pirelli website, but that's probably the place where to check it out.
But getting back in terms of the approach that we took, the way I saw it is that in 1905, when Einstein came up with this, there had very recently been huge advances in physics in terms of electricity and magnetism. And I think it was inevitable that someone would come up with this special theory of relativity. However, it took huge, remarkable clarity of thought from Einstein in order to put it together and make that leap to relativity. And what we tried to do is figure out what his logic was, what was his process. And part of that was using imagination, because he would have these mind experiments. So if you notice, we didn't say Al is on a spaceship. Al imagines he's on a spaceship. And it helps people, I think, connect with it because they realize that they, too, can imagine this.
So in a way, you sort of tried to make a movie about how Einstein himself might have thought about it.
And it actually is really kind of a straightforward process of getting to that conclusion. And there's nothing really confusing about it when you see it that way. And one thing that we try to do is avoid some of the paradoxes that people like to bring up in relativity to try to sensationalize it. But we find that it tends to confuse people. So we made it seem as intuitive as possible because really it is. And in terms of the physics, I really focused on making that intuitive, and I left the entertainment aspect of it to the animator and the writer.
Fine. Is this going to open up some doors for you? I mean, do you plan to do this kind of work more professionally and from now on?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. This is a big chance.
I mean, one of the greatest things that came out of this, besides winning this prize, is that friends of mine now understand special relativity, and we can talk about it. And it's great.
Yeah, sure.
It's great.
You got an argument of conversation, at least. Thank you very much for having come all the way, and our deepest compliments for winning the prize goes to Canada. I'm really happy. Here it is. Who's going to keep it, though? Are you going to take a letter each, or?
We'll take it, yeah. I get the...
Okay.
I'll take the equals.
All right. One last applause for the winners.